Good evening, everyone. I hope that you are doing well on this beautiful, was sunny day. um, I am here today because J Nicole X07654 has asked me to answer two more questions. And so I am here to do that. I am going to do two videos. Because if I don't, this will be very lengthy. Um, so these are probably gonna it's probably gonna be a kind of lengthy answer for both of them anyway, because everything is complicated and it would be hard to shorten it. So um here we go. Okay. So the first question is, when did I move out of my mom's? So long story short, I was 13. But the reason why was um, my dad had been going through a custody battle since I was probably around 10 or so. Um, and he'd been just trying really, really hard to get custody of us. And back in that time period of the glorious 80s, um, judges didn't like to remove children from their moms. Apparently, no matter how awful the mother was, because my dad, during the custody battle, lasted for years, um, had us go to several therapists and doctors, and we had to go play with dolls, and we had to talk about the things that were happening at my mom's house. And um, my dad had like teachers write letters, and neighbors, and just like he got a bunch of proof from a bunch of professionals and a bunch of people that knew us. And every single one of these people said that my mom was a terrible person, and we would be better off not with her. But the judge just wouldn't have it. And then so when I was 13, I believe I was 13. I'm pretty sure I was 13. Um, so long ago now. My mom took us to the courthouse because the judge wanted to speak directly to my brother and I, before he made his final decision. Because apparently he had made lots of decisions for several years, all ending with my mom keeping custody. But I don't know what changed. What changed at this point was my mom was wanting to move my brother and I to another state. And there's a lot of complications to that. A lot of things go into all of that. Way too much to get into. And my dad basically called an emergency hearing, with the judge, and said, you know, uh, this can't happen. Um, so the judge wanted to talk to my brother and I, because I I don't know. I guess because he wanted to know if we wanted to stay, move. I don't really know, because again, like I said, judges don't didn't usually didn't care. But anyway, thankfully this judge wanted to talk to us, I guess. Anyway, so when I went in to speak with him, he basically said to me, I don't like taking children away from their mothers. So, unless you can give me a really good reason why I shouldn't just let you stay with your mom, um, then you're going to stay with your mom. And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, if you make me stay with my mom, you're going to be responsible for my death. And he, what the, he's like, excuse me? And I said, I want to live with my father. If you make me stay with my mother, I will off myself because I don't want to stay there anymore. You have no idea what she's like and what he's like. Stepdad. You have no idea what they are like and what they do to me. And I don't want to stay there. And he said something else. And then I said again, I said, still looking in his, no, he said, is it really that bad there? And still looking in his eyes, I said, well, again, if you make me stay there, you're going to either be responsible for my death or you'll be responsible for whatever happens to me when I run away, because I'm not staying there. So if you send me back to live with her, then I'm either not going to stay alive or I'm going to run away. And he was quiet for a minute as he just stared at me. And he's like, you're really not old enough to make this decision or make a choice like this. And I said, I may not be old enough, but I can still do these things. And he kind of nodded his head and was like, yeah. Okay, well, I need to talk to your brother now, and have a good day. So on the way out the door, right before I turned the corner and left his view, I looked back at him and I said, again, if you make me stay with her, you are responsible for what happens to me. And then, walked out of his sight. And he talked to my brother, and my brother was probably 12, 11 and a half. I don't know. Yeah, I was 13. Anyway, my brother had been getting manipulated by my mom because, my mom always threatened suicide, forever, even since she was a child. There's stories of how whenever she didn't get her way or she got upset or whatever, the first thing she would do would be like, well, I'm gonna go kill myself because nobody loves me, or I'm gonna just whatever. So it's like nobody really believed her, but apparently my brother did. I mean, my mom had basically been telling both of us, if we leave her to go live with my dad, that she was gonna go do that and it would be our fault, and this is different than what I did with the judge. What I did with the judge was told him exactly how bad it was there, because I didn't say that stuff out of nowhere. That wasn't something, I didn't pick that trait up from my mom. I was dead serious. I had gotten to the point that I was self-harming every day. I was suicidal. I was looking for any way to escape. So if he had sentenced me to go back to live with her, I honestly wouldn't be here today. But anyway, so my brother did believe all of her, I'm gonna do this if you leave stuff. Now, my mom knew that I wasn't gonna stay because she knew that I had stopped believing her saying that stuff a while ago. And so she knew that wasn't working on me. And she knew deep down I wasn't gonna stay. And I don't know that she actually wanted me to stay anyway. Probably did because she could still have control over my father, but I don't really think she gave two shits about me either way. But with my brother, she just started buying him a dirt bike and a motorcycle and an ATV and like all these different like cool motor vehicles, and like pretty much anything he wanted he was getting. And she was using her narcissistic tendencies to, or her narcissism I should say, to love bomb my brother. And it worked because my brother ended up saying to the judge he didn't care where he went, but he was worried about leaving my mom. So in the end, the judge decided to let me go live with my dad and kept my brother with my mom. And there's just so much more that goes into that. But let me add this little side note. When I heard, because the doors were shut and we weren't in the courtroom when we heard the judge make his ruling, we were standing outside, like listening through the door. And when I heard I was gonna go live with my dad, I was so excited. Like I was just like, finally, my nightmare is over. And so when the doors opened and my dad and stepmom and mom and stepdad and the judge or the lawyers come out, I ran to my dad and I was like, Dad, I'm so happy, I'm so excited, let's go, I can't wait to go home, like, and be with you and like get away from her. And like, you know, I was just really, really happy. And my dad looked sad because obviously he didn't get custody of my brother, but also because he knew something that I didn't. And that's when the lawyer said to my dad, so it'll be about 3 weeks to finalize everything, but you'll get a copy of all the paperwork and then blah, blah, blah. And then there'll be the day on which you can go and pick her up and she can begin living with you. And instantly I'm like, what? And my mom walks up and she grabs my hand and she's like, you're coming home with me tonight. And yeah, and instantly my blood ran cold and I knew I was in for hell for the next 3 weeks. And I begged the lawyer, I begged my dad. I was like, please don't make me go home with her. Please save me. Please don't make me go. And unfortunately, I had to go back with her because they had all that paperwork and shit to finalize. And I'm just going to say that 3 weeks was, I am actually surprised that I survived, because the abuse that I had been enduring for, well, since I was 5, and 5 with my mom, 7 with my stepdad, like just escalated like to just heinous levels of just, I just, yeah, it was. If I knew I was gonna have to go back home with my mom for 3 weeks after the judge literally says to her, your daughter has specifically said she wants to live with her father and she doesn't want to be with you, I don't know that I would have had the guts to actually say I want to go live with my dad. But anyway, that's what happened with all of that. There's, like I said, there's so much more to it, but I think I answered your question and probably a bit more. So I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to answer your second question. So be right back. Take care, everybody.